Hey, we're gonna get back on the van today. We're gonna get this up on these cinder blocks and start ripping out the front end and the rear end. I'm replacing brakes and struts on the back, bushings on the front. We're doing pretty much the whole front end, bushings, the struts, and the steering linkages, all of that stuff. This should be cool. It's been a while since I've been on the van. Basically, I want to get this up to the point where I can feel confident running it on the highway for long distances. I'm starting to convert this over a little bit to the camper van that so we're going to keep going with that. Let's get going. I switched over to the jack stands. I know. I shouldn't use Cinder blocks, I know. The reason you don't want to use cinder blocks is that those are not designed for point loads, meaning if the surface isn't exactly in form with the block, it's a point load, and that can crack and cause a weak point in the block and cause the block to crumble and van comes down. Here's the thing. I'm on concrete, which is very flat here actually. And I kind of honed the bottom of these. The problem is when you have them stacked on top of each other, the blocks themselves are not flush with each other. They're not, it's not a precision thing. So what could you do to make that better? Well, if you were to do this proper, where you wanted to put this car up on cinder blocks, you'd have to set mortar down on the concrete and put mortar in between the blocks, and then have some wood or something on the top. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. That's a permanent structure. I will say this though, while it was on those, it was very stable. Didn't move really at all. I felt like I could really wrench on this now. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I can move it. You know, I even have that under there as support, and I'm not really moving it that much. So I don't know, you tell me, is this safer than those? I also had wood on top of these blocks to take the point load from the van. And it actually wasn't really a point load. It was actually sitting on the rail, so it was fairly spread out. This just looks so much more dangerous to me. Anyway, I got the tires under the front and back so that if these jack stands do fail, the tires will catch it. Hopefully. One more thing. I did find out that while I can get to the parking brake backing plate here, going to be next to impossible to assemble the new brake pad here with this in place. So that means I got to open the differential, drain it out, and pull this axle out, that I can get the backing plate off, and then I can clean it up and, you know, get to it on the table over there. It'll just be, I think it'll be way easier than trying to assemble it here on the truck, and that's totally fine. This side is pretty much disassembled except for that one bushing. That's all I'm going to do for the rear side here. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm not going to record that. You get the idea. So, was a lot of work to get that thing off, but yeah, it's definitely seen better days. I mean, I can compress it, but it doesn't really return that well. If I go all the way in, yeah, that's so good. So I'm glad I'm replacing these. Junk. All right, I'm gonna do the other side. I'll bring you back when I do the front. All right, we're on to the front side here. I already removed the tie rod from here. It's pretty simple stuff. So I'm actually gonna start with undoing the brake line. If you weren't going to do a full brake bleed and recondition these calipers, you don't need to take this off. You can just hang it up over here, but I'm going to do a full brake line bleed of all the old fluid and redo everything, so that's why I'm taking it off. Do what I'm looking at here. So you can see that maybe that pitting right there. Looking at this. Can definitely feel this right here. There's a little bit back here, but this, where the pitting is right here, is not the bearing race. That's this back here. It's a little bit of pitting there. It's dirty, but it's I think that'll be okay. All right, it's the next day. Let's get this knuckle off of here. I decided just to go with a pickle fork on this one. It's easier, actually.
Okay, we got all this stuff down. So all of the suspension and steering components are off the front end, and off the rear end here we've got everything that I'm going to remove, basically everything except for the axle and the spring. So we're gonna go from there. I have some chassis paint that I want to get the metal pieces, and then I have some rubberized stuff for the wheel well. So we're going to get this cleaned up. Do that down here in each of the wheel wells. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. I might go down underneath these panels on the underside with that rubberized stuff just to help with some noise. I think this will pretty much satisfy everything that needs to be done with this, and we'll go from there. Before I get crazy with the pressure washer, I am going to just bolt on the differential cover. I'm not going to reseal it or fill it yet because I'm going to need to get back in there anyway. I still need to pull the axles out again to get the brake components on there. So it's just to keep water out. Anyway, enough rambling. Like I said, I'm going to go back and get this these components taken apart, clean up, start cleaning up the inside, get it painted and primed and de-rusted, and not in that order. We'll bring it back when I get a little more done.